Sheldon when you need him.
We have a problem and no one else can help. Maybe we should hire the A-Team.
Well, hello chaps and chappets, and welcome to another board games that everybody should video, where I show you how to play a board game, and then I give you not just one but two reviews of that game. A kind of cold-hearted technical review where I tell you what I think about the game, and then a fluffy-duffy kind of personal review where I tell you how I feel about the game. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the game Rising 5, Runes of Asteros, and as you can see, this probably looks a bit different to the other versions that you've seen out there because this is a collector's edition. It has a few extra little sparkly things, but nothing that detracts from the review in any way because it is primarily the base game with just, as I said, a few fluffy bits on it. This is a co-op game for 1 to 5 players where you are trying to decipher a combination of runes, and you're doing this while fighting aliens, and you're doing this at the same time as this big kind of eclipse is going to happen, which would signify the end of the world due to the fact, or the end of the universe, due to the fact that a big monster is going to come through this portal, which you have to block with these runes. So let me take you to the table and show you how to set it up and play. So you're going to need to start by placing the obligatory board into the obligatory middle of the table. Next, take the 3 decks of area cards labelled 1, 2 and 3 and shuffle them and place them in their zones. Each area also comes with 2 grey starting cards which can be placed out immediately. Place these 7 coloured runes on the corresponding spaces. Place the gate marker in exactly the same spaces marked on the board. And then players choose 4 of the 7 runes at random or at their choosing and place them around this gate marker. Add the 4 silk cubes near their altars. Place the eclipse marker on the 3rd sun down, and then add the heroes to the board on their corresponding spaces. To the side of the board, you're going to need the astrological tiles, the combat dice, the 3 relic cards, as well as shuffling the 4 artifacts cards and placing them face down. You'll take the character card deck and remove all the red moon cards. Give the character deck a shuffle and then choose the difficulty of the game. For an easy game, you'll add 3 moon cards to this deck at similar intervals. For a medium game, you add 4, and for a hard game, you add 5. Then you deal each player 5 cards for a 4 or 5 player game, or 6 cards for a 2 or 3 player game. And finally, you'll need to boot up your app with the game Rising 5. If you don't have an app, one of the players will have to play as the mastermind and create their own combination of runes and astrological signs. So a brief overview of the game is, on a player's turn, they control one of the 5 heroes with the cards that they have in their hand. Each card they play of that hero will give them an action point that they can use to either move that hero to another location on the planet, or interact with an object, a friend, or an enemy. What the players are trying to do is they are trying to decipher this code of runes, which is going to lock up this ancient evil in its dimension so it won't come through. The thing is, you don't know which runes are going to be used, and every time you try a combination of runes, you're going to get some astrological signs. That's the ones. And so players are going to have to pair up the astrological signs with the runes to find out which is the combination to lock this portal. Thing is, they have a limited amount of time. When the deck of character cards runs out, the game is over. Also, if we ever have an eclipse of the red moon, the game is over too. So players are going to have to work together efficiently and cooperatively to try and figure out this puzzle and lock away this monster. So the first thing you're going to need to do as players is decide who the first player is, so they can go and push play on the Guardians of the Galaxy hit mix number 1, and then scan the first set of runes to get a kind of indication of which symbols and which runes are used or not. So our start player will push start the game. The app will then tell them to get the preparations ready. They'll do a nice little intro that you can watch if you wish, and it tells you what everything is on the screen. Then the first thing you're going to need to do is scan the code here, these runes, with your camera. Or if you wish to, you can enter them in manually with your finger. So the light blue is here, the yellow is here, the dark blue is there, and the red is there. You can also check with your mastermind as well if you're playing without the app. Then once you've put them in or scanned, it will tell you which astrological signs are present. Now each one of these signs is allocated to one of these runes. And if it's gold and flashing like that, means that one of these runes is in the correct space and it's the correct color. Whereas this one here tells you that this rune is somewhere there, but it's not in the right space. And these two here mean that there's two runes here which are not supposed to be in here, so we're going to have to switch them out later on in the game. So with this newfound information, players can discuss if they wish, what kind of combination they believe it's going to be, but you're not going to get very far because you're not going to get much from a first scan. You're going to need a second scan to deduce a few things, and you're going to need to move the runes around. So now it's done, the first player will take their turn. All players' turns are exactly the same. On your turn, you can play any number of cards of the same character, or you can play no cards whatsoever passing. So for instance, I could play 3 Eco cards, which means that Eco has 3 actions that he can perform. One of those actions is to move to another location. At the beginning of the game, all the characters are not on the planet. Once they arrive on the planet, they can never come back off. When you move to a location, it doesn't have to be adjacent, it can be any of the locations, and there can be any number of characters on a location. Moving costs 1 action point. Interacting with a character or an object in a location also costs 1 action point. If the object that you're interacting with is an artifact card, you just take the top artifact card. This is placed face up on the table, and any player can use it on their turn. You can activate an ally. Allies will give you different types of bonuses. Like this ally will either give you a silk cube that you can place on an altar, or will allow the sun track to go up, veering away from the red moon eclipse. You may wish to encounter an enemy and do combat. The strength of the enemy is dictated by the number in the red sun circle. To perform a combat, you'll need to roll the red combat dice. If you roll lower than the strength of your enemy, you will lose. Also, if you roll the eclipse symbol, you will automatically lose. You'll be forced to move the eclipse token down towards the red moon, the same number of red moons on that creature's card. If you roll a number and the number is equal or higher to the strength of your enemy, you win and you get compensated with a reward marked on the bottom. So in this case, a silk cube. Later on in the game, you may find some stronger enemies and maybe even a boss. But you don't need to rely on the roll of the dice to take on these big monsters. If you're lucky enough to have another team member in the same area as you, you get a team up bonus of +1 to your dice roll even before you roll it. So here Eco is in the same space as Nova and Ellie, which means that he has a +1 to his die roll. Another thing you can do is ask for a power up. You can ask the other players at the table if they wish to sacrifice any character cards of the character that you've activated, so in this case Eco. For each card that the other players sacrifice, you'll get a +1 to your dice roll, but that is before you even roll the dice. All cards are then discarded and they are lost even if you roll more than what you needed to on your attack. And you can combine this team up and power up bonus however you wish, but remember, if you ever roll an eclipse, it is an instant failure. The final action that can be done by spending 1 action point is to scan the rune gate. This can only be done if all 4 silk cubes are upon their pedestals. Again, it is only advisable to take this action if the runes have changed since the last time you've scanned. Once the gate has been scanned, the players can discuss and debate on which rune applies to which star and which rune should be in this constellation. You then remove all of the silk cubes from their altar, ready to go and collect some more. Now you may be asking yourself, well, how do I go about changing the runes? Well, each of the characters has a special power, and the only one that can change the runes is Oracle. Once per turn, you can activate the character that you've activated and use their special ability. Oracle's special ability is to swap the position of 2 runes. These 2 runes can be 2 runes from the gate, or 1 from the reserve and 1 from the gate. Ellie's special ability is to make the eclipse track marker move up 1 space. Nova's special ability is to attack any monster on the board. She'll roll the dice. If she's successful, she kills the monster. If it's unsuccessful, whether it be an eclipse or a value not the right number, nothing will happen. Eco's special ability is he can command another character to move into a different location, but not himself. And Hal's special ability is he can copy the special ability of the character that is in the same location as themselves. But this only counts if they are on the planet with him. At the end of the player's turn, they discard the cards that they've played into a discard pile, and then they go to the draw phase. Now, you're obliged to draw at least 1 card minimum, but you can draw more if you wish. You have to state beforehand how many cards you wish to draw. So you may say you wish to draw 3 cards, and then you'll draw these 1 by 1. If at any time you draw a red moon card, you have to stop drawing immediately and place this card on the top of the draw deck. Now, if you'd passed your turn and you just drew 1 card because you have to, and you have more than your hand size, you'll have to then discard down to your hand size. Then, once the draw phase is over, you will replace any cards that are missing from the board, and you are ready to go to the next player. But let's talk quickly about this red moon card. What happens on the next player's turn? If it is your turn and the red moon is on the top of the draw deck, you're going to have to do the best possible on your turn to remove as many monsters as possible. Because at the end of your turn, after you've done all your actions, you're going to have to decrease the eclipse track by each moon visible on the board. So in this case, there's 1 here, there's 1 here, and there's 1 here. Although some of the bosses have 2 red moons. So if the eclipse marker arrives at the red moon on the bottom, it's game over, you've lost. If you go to draw and there's no more cards to draw from the draw deck, you have lost. But if you scan the gate runes and then you get all of them in gold, you've won. You've sealed the gate. Game over. Congratulations. You are now the new guardians of the board game. So let's start with my cold-hearted technical review. What are you getting for your money's worth? Well, in this, you're getting a rulebook, and the rulebook is a little messy, but it is well written. You can learn the rules pretty quickly. It's only about 4 pages, and there's some extra supplemental stuff about the solo mode and the special powers, and that is it. There's also a sheet on the expansions that you can add to the game to make the game a little bit harder or a little bit more easier. The player boards are in very good quality. All of the boards are in very good quality. The only extra bonus with the boards are these two boards, which are used to make the main board bigger, and this just basically holds a space for all the cards, and this is an expansion to make the game a tad harder, and this is one that's played quite a bit. There's also a set of character cards with optional different powers that they can have, and again, something which is only in the collector's edition is this book, this diary of the making of Rising 5 from Gary Kim and Vincent Dutrait, the game through their eyes as they created it. All of the components are very good quality, high standard. The box insert is fantastic. And what can you say about the astronomical, the amazing artwork? The app is very simple to use. It's very clean, tidy presentation, nice sound effects, nice little bit of music, but you will get bored of that pretty quickly. And then there are the minis. Again, this is collector's edition only. You get standards in the basic version. I don't see much difference. I mean, yeah, it's nice, it's 3D, but it's up to you. The mechanisms of the game are clean and easy to understand. You have these two-part mechanisms in play. You have this point allocation mechanism, which is used to get your characters around the board to get the resources that you need to be able to activate the second mechanism, which is the mastermind mechanism, where you're trying to decipher which star sign corresponds with which rune, so you can put them in the right order to win the game. So to sum up, I think that this game is technically excellent. It's stellar. In fact, it's a 10 out of 10. There's nothing I can fault apart from the music, which is dull and repetitive. But then again, I am a musician and that technically thing just bugs me. So how do I feel about the game? Well, Rising 5 is a board game that every child is going to be screaming at their parents to play. This is a fantastic, light family style game. This is perfect for this kind of generation. It's that Star Wars Guardians of the Galaxy feel with the artwork. It kind of absorbs you. There's no story involved in this much, but you know, you can kind of generate the story from the art itself. In fact, when I look at the art, I think of Ulysses 31 and think, oh, yes. The game is a light to medium weight version of Mastermind with this other kind of mechanism tacked onto the game to make it interesting. And again, you're playing against an app, or maybe someone that doesn't like apps is the Mastermind. So yes, there is this worry and fear from people that because it's an app, the longevity of the game might not be that long. It might be that they stop helping support the app and then you won't be able to play the game. But you can play it still, as I said, with this Mastermind board. But whether that's going to be much more fun, who knows. The game is not too demanding. It's quite easy to win. You may play your first game and lose, and that will encourage you to play it again. But after you've beaten it, it's like, yay, let's play something else. Although sometimes it's like, yay, we've beaten it, let's add something into it to make it harder. There is quite a nice assemblement of expansions to make the game harder or easier. They don't change the game that much. There's some extra monsters which are a bit tougher than the ones that come in the base game. There are those special powers for the heroes, which are, you know, the basic special power plus something else. And then there's the one that we use the most is the board on top of the board that only comes in the collector's edition. So when your character gets injured, they go back to the ship to heal, and so they're out of the game for a certain amount of turn. The great thing about the game is you can teach it and play it at the same time, which is something which a lot of games you can't do. In fact, the theme and the mechanisms of the game and the time length of the game, you're looking at about 20 to 30 minutes, is perfect for teaching new people that don't play board games. Your first game could be an open hand where you put the cards on the table, everyone can see, and you can help each other. This is definitely my replacement for Pandemic. That used to be like my co-op game to teach people, to get them interested in board games. This has been my new Pandemic. One of the drawbacks though is this game can be led by one player telling everybody what to do, which can, you know, remove some of the fun and pleasure from playing the game. The main highlight of the game is actually the mastermind part, the figuring out the puzzle. That's the bit that you know, I've found in people enjoy the most is the negotiation of no, that's not that star sign, that's this star sign. And then people going halfway through the game, I bet it's green, red, blue and yellow. There's not a lot of luck to the game. There is the dice rolling, which can affect your game if you roll it and you get the eclipse several times in a row, which means that you probably might lose. But there is always a way to come back. Even the randomness of the deck doesn't affect the game too badly. There's always a way to come around and survive another couple of rounds. And although Oracle is the only one that can move the runes around, luckily there's Hal, who can be, if he's in the same space, move the runes around as well. This is a great co-op game, and it's also a good solo game. You can play solo as well. There's a little solo variant where you have like a line of cards which will back you up if you need to bolster your attack. So in brief, it's a super duper version of Mastermind, which is quick to play, easy to learn, great for kids, looks fantastic, and that's it. There's not much else I can say. My Board Game Geek rating is an 8 out of 10 because it's not a game that I'm going to play all the time. Because as I said, once you've been in it, you just can't put it away unless you want a challenge and you make it harder yourself. But apart from that, it's a fantastic game. This is definitely my cup of tea. If you combined my technical score with my Board Game Geek score, you're going to get a 9 out of 10, which is a pretty high score for this game. And again, that will apply to the basic version as well as this, because as I said, there's not much different apart from the minis, the book, and those 2 extra board bits. So there you go. Thank you very much for your time and watching this video. If you've liked this video, give it a like. If you know someone that might be interested in this game, share it with them. And if you want to check out everything that I've been doing, you can go to boardgameseverybodyshould.com and go and check out all the videos and blogs that I've been posting there, and on the music that I'm doing as well. Replace the music in this app, please, Jamie. And then you can go to my Patreon if you wish to and donate a few pennies and get yourself put into my monthly prize draw and win yourself some promos and bits and bobs like that. So, all that remains for me to do is say ciao for now, and remember, hooked on a feel. My voice is going, sorry. Play nice with each other. Just sitting at the table next to Felicia.